The city of Yazd, with its ancient clay walls and labyrinthine alleys, had always been a place where history and legend intertwined. In the shadow of the Zoroastrian fire temples and the historic Jewish quarter, stories of old still held sway over the imaginations of its inhabitants. One legend in particular was whispered with reverence and fear, the legend of the Manticore. The story began centuries ago, in the time when Persia was a land of great empires and mystical creatures. The Manticore was a fearsome beast, a hybrid of a lion, a human, and a scorpion, with the body of a lion, a human face, and a deadly tail that could spew venomous darts. It was said to haunt the deserts and mountains, preying on those who ventured too far from safety. The creature was not just a beast, but a manifestation of ancient curses and dark magic. The legend spoke of a powerful sorcerer, once a great healer, who had been wronged by a powerful lord. In his rage, he called upon dark forces, transforming himself into the Manticore. This cursed form allowed him to exact revenge on his enemies, but it also trapped him in a cycle of endless bloodlust and suffering. Over time, the Manticore became a symbol of wrath and vengeance, a cautionary tale against the dangers of dabbling in dark magic. In modern Yazd, the legend of the Manticore had faded into the realm of children's bedtime stories. However, for the Levy family, descendants of one of the oldest Jewish families in the region, the legend was about to become terrifyingly real. Eli Levy, a successful businessman, had moved back to Yazd with his wife Miriam and their teenage son David to reconnect with their roots. They settled into a beautifully restored traditional house in the old Jewish quarter, a place rich with history and memories. Life was good, and the family found a warm welcome in the community. One evening, as the family gathered for Shabbat, David excitedly shared a story he had heard at school. It was the tale of the Manticore. His parents exchanged uneasy glances, but let him continue. "They say it still roams the desert," David said with a grin. "And if you wander too far at night, it will find you." Miriam shivered, the hair on her arms standing on end. "Enough of that, David," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "These are just stories. Let's enjoy our Shabbat." But the seed of fear had been planted, and as night fell, an uneasy feeling settled over the Levy household. A few weeks later, Eli had to make a business trip to the outskirts of the city. He decided to take David along, hoping to spend some quality time together. The drive was pleasant, the vast desert landscape stretching out before them like an endless sea. As they returned home, the sun dipped below the horizon, and darkness enveloped the desert. The car's headlights cut through the inky blackness, casting long shadows on the dunes. Suddenly, Eli felt a jolt. The car sputtered and came to a halt. "Damn it," Eli muttered, getting out to check the engine. David stayed in the car, peering nervously into the darkness. Minutes passed, and Eli's frustration grew. "I think it's the battery," he said, closing the hood. "We'll have to wait for someone to pass by and help." David glanced around, his earlier bravado replaced by growing unease. "Dad, do you hear that?" he whispered. A low growl, almost imperceptible, drifted through the air. Eli tensed. "Get back in the car," he ordered, his voice tight with fear. They locked the doors and sat in silence, straining to hear. The growl grew louder, closer. Then, out of the darkness, they saw it. A pair of glowing eyes, the size of dinner plates, staring at them from the shadows. The creature emerged into the light, and their blood ran cold. It was the Manticore, its massive lion's body rippling with muscle, its human face twisted in a grotesque snarl, and its scorpion tail arched menacingly over its back. Eli fumbled for his phone, but there was no signal. The creature circled the car, its eyes never leaving them. It let out a roar that shook the vehicle, and Eli's mind raced for a way out. In a moment of clarity, he remembered an old Jewish prayer for protection. He began to recite it, his voice trembling but steady. David joined in, their voices merging in desperate supplication. The Manticore paused, its head cocked as if listening. For a moment, it seemed to hesitate. Then it let out an ear-splitting scream and lunged at the car. Eli and David braced for impact, but it never came. The creature vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving only silence in its wake. Trembling, they waited until dawn before venturing out. Back in Yazd, Miriam greeted them with relief and concern. Eli recounted their harrowing encounter, and Miriam's face grew pale. "We need to speak to Rabbi Moshe," she said. "He knows more about the old legends than anyone." Rabbi Moshe, the elderly leader of the Jewish community, listened intently as they described the Manticore. He nodded gravely, his eyes reflecting years of wisdom and experience. "The Manticore is no ordinary beast," he said. "It is a cursed being, tied to the sins and anger of the past. To break its power, you must confront the source of the curse." He told them of an ancient scroll, hidden in the depths of the old synagogue, which contained the ritual to banish the Manticore. The scroll had been written by the sorcerer himself, a final attempt to atone for his deeds. The Levies, determined to end the nightmare, agreed to find the scroll. That night, they ventured into the synagogue, the air thick with anticipation and fear. The old synagogue was a labyrinth of corridors and hidden chambers. Guided by Rabbi Moshe, they descended into the catacombs, their way lit by flickering candles. In the deepest chamber, they found the scroll, sealed in a glass case. As they retrieved it, a sense of dread washed over them. Rabbi Moshe explained the ritual. They would need to return to the desert, to the place where they had encountered the Manticore. There, they would recite the incantations and perform the rites to banish the creature forever. With heavy hearts, they prepared for the journey. As they reached the desert, the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the dunes. They gathered in a circle, the scroll open before them. Rabbi Moshe began to chant, his voice strong and unwavering. Eli, Miriam, and David joined in, their voices rising in unison. The air grew cold, and a sense of malevolence filled the space around them. The Manticore appeared, its eyes burning with fury. It roared, but the chanting continued, growing louder and more powerful. The creature lunged at them, but an invisible barrier held it back. The ground trembled as the ritual reached its climax. With a final, deafening roar, the Manticore was engulfed in a blinding light. When the light faded, the creature was gone. The desert was silent once more. The Levies returned to Yazd, exhausted but triumphant. The curse of the Manticore had been lifted, and the legend was laid to rest. Rabbi Moshe reminded them that while the Manticore was gone, the lessons of the past remained. "We must always be mindful of the darkness that lies within us," he said. "Only by facing it can we truly be free." The Levies never forgot their ordeal. It became a part of their family history, a reminder of the power of courage, faith, and unity. And though the legend of the Manticore faded once more into the shadows, its lessons endured, whispered through the generations. In the ancient city of Yazd, where history and legend intertwined, the story of the Manticore remained a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. And in the hearts of the Levy family, it was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light and hope could prevail. The Levies returned to Yazd, exhausted but triumphant. The curse of the Manticore had been lifted, and the legend was laid to rest. Rabbi Moshe reminded them that while the Manticore was gone, the lessons of the past remained. "We must always be mindful of the darkness that lies within us," he said. "Only by facing it can we truly be free." The Levies never forgot their ordeal. It became a part of their family history, a reminder of the power of courage, faith, and unity. And though the legend of the Manticore faded once more into the shadows, its lessons endured, whispered through the generations. In the ancient city of Yazd, where history and legend intertwined, the story of the Manticore remained a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. And in the hearts of the Levy family, It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light and hope could prevail. Years passed, and the Levy family continued to thrive in Yazd. The old synagogue, now a place of peace, stood as a testament to their courage and the power of ancient wisdom. But deep in the desert, where the sands shifted and the winds howled, the spirit of the Manticore lingered, a shadow of its former self. It watched and waited, knowing that darkness could never truly be vanquished, only held at bay by those brave enough to face it. And so, the legend of the Manticore lived on, a warning and a challenge to all who dared to listen.